The walls of Constantinople must hold. Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another glorious siege battle on Medieval Kingdoms 1212. Today we take ahead on a siege of Constantinople sent in to me by my Discord. So if you guys want to be a part of these battles in the future, be sure to go ahead and join my Discord. The link will be down below in the description. So, you know, whether it's 1212 or Rise of Mordor or anything else, that's the place to hopefully find some pretty awesome battles. So today we have a pretty interesting 3 vs 3. 3 armies from the Sultanate of Rum who have some really awesome new units which I haven't really seen coming together, and yeah, these guys look really awesome. Like, I'm really impressed with how they've gone ahead and upped the model quality on these bad boys. They just look really great, unique. These, I think, are mercenaries maybe, or no, they're not mercenaries, but even still, like, they do look really awesome, and I love the look of the Sultanate of Rum. They were one of my more preferred factions, so I'm really glad that they've got a bunch more units, especially like these bad boys as well, kind of a lot more of like the Ottoman looking units. They just look amazing, really cool. So we have 3 armies from the Sultanate of Rum ready to besiege the city. As you can see, they've already made several breaches in the wall, and everyone is starting to get ready to throw themselves onto the walls and, you know, try and break the defenders. Defending, we have an army from Bulgaria, we have an army from Venice, and also an army of Nicaea. So the Nicaea, which I believe is the Byzantine Empire, or what turns into the Byzantine Empire, or what was the Byzantine Empire. One of those 3. They have called on their allies of the Bulgarians as well as Venice to come down and obviously stop the Sultanate of Rum from doing anything crazy and keeping the city from being pillaged. And it's going to be a hard fight indeed as these attackers do come in, getting some shrapnel rained down upon them, which is pretty insane. So the Bulgarians are going to take the defense on the right hand side. I believe Venice, with the help of Nicaea, are going to be defending the rest of it. And what I really love what they've done is they've kind of not just set everything for the walls. There's something you can do in these battles, and I kind of find it very boring when people do go ahead and decide to basically just defend the walls constantly. It makes the battles being very choke pointy and very one-dimensional, but they've done an amazing job of setting off the defenders. As you can see, this is a 50+ minute battle, so things are going to be very crazy. We're going to see a lot of action, and I definitely want to start doing a lot more 1212 on the channel now that the campaign is getting ever closer to being completed. You know, they've basically got in, I think, every faction, or they're getting close to getting in every faction. That includes garrisons and buildings and all the generals and units and all these other factions. Because one of the amazing things about Medieval 1212 is they've been working on the units, at least, as well as the campaign, for, you know, 4 or 5 years now. So the actual balancing of the campaign and the battles is going to be amazing. And now they're just working on the actual campaign itself, getting in unique, like, actual battle buildings. So, like, these buildings will hopefully feel very unique for each culture, as well as adding in, you know, more tech stuff and just kind of making the campaign feel like a campaign and not just an Attila game, which is really awesome. I'm so excited for this mod. It's going to be like, the thing, the 1220 is a great mod, but it feels very incomplete. And I don't think I'm crazy in saying that. You know, it doesn't feel like it is a complete overhaul mod. It feels like it's doing its best. Obviously, I think it's only one guy making it. Whereas 1212, I think, is just going to be the complete package, and they're going to improve it constantly, and it's going to feel like Medieval 2.5, or I say Medieval 3 almost. It's going to be really good. I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait. Hopefully, they'll let me show you guys some stuff of it at some point in the future, because this will be the place to be. Like, you know, I doubt we'll have many scripts and stuff like that at the beginning, but hopefully as the mod develops, they'll add in more scripts and more unique events for each faction, and because it's not like they need to adjust units or anything, because the unit balancing is probably really good already. So yeah, the campaign's going to be amazing. You never know, you might even see a multiplayer campaign on the channel between me and Apollo, England versus France. I think that could be a lot of fun. So we're seeing a bit of an interesting skirmish off right now as we go back to the battle after I just went on a nice little tangent right there. We can see that the Sultanate of Rum are using their missiles to push forward, at least on this left-hand side, and try and soften up the initial attackers. And this is a pretty good strategy. It allows them to basically do some good damage to these macemen. However, these macemen are, I believe, are in a shield wall formation. I don't know if we can actually see if they're in it or not. Yeah, I think they are. They are in shield wall, which gives them a pretty big missile block. An extra 20 missile block definitely helps them along with that extra shield defense. So being in this, they're kind of just wasting their ammunition more than anything else. However, it's not a bad idea. I think they also force back some of these halberds, which is a pretty good idea. So these Bulgarian halberds are having to fall back because obviously they're a lot more vulnerable to the missiles. So it's better they just kind of sit back and let the other units get involved. And here we go, the first push. I think this is the first assault. Yes, the first assault has now come in, and all of these Bulgarian basemen are simply charging into the battle to try and blockade and push the Sultanate of Rum back in this first initial assault of Constantinople. Yeah, it really feels like, because I haven't played 12-12 in a little while, it feels like they've definitely gone ahead and improved a lot of these armor pieces. They just seem a lot more vibrant, whether it's color. Obviously, the color looks a lot more in your face, which is awesome. But it just seems like they look a lot cleaner. So maybe they've gone ahead and just gone like and brushed over a lot of these models. Because I know the Sultanate of Rum were one of the first factions in the mod, like years ago. They didn't really have the most exciting roster back then. Oh, I just got absolutely... He's just got his leg carved in there by a mace. And I think that's going to be the first assault. The Forlorn Hope being pushed back. It is indeed. Wow, that is brutal. Over on the other side, we are getting also more of this infantry up here. These guys looking pretty like epic. I love the look of this like Ottoman dress unit. It looks so cool. Very, very light archer unit. They're going to set up their volley. And these guys are pretty point blank. They are going to be volleying over walls. Again, I think just trying to take out some of these crossbows. Because, yeah, in this mod, crossbows are kind of king. There's a lot of heavily armored units. So if you can take them out early, you really go ahead and just aid yourself so heavily in the battle. It just allows your infantry to really do work. Over here as well, we're seeing more infantry pushing up. We did actually have a little skirmish, which I didn't show. I skipped the little skirmish. We had a few of, I believe, Burgundy cavalry moving out to try and harass some artillery. However, they weren't very successful. We also have a cannon still here. Oh, if these Rummian men push this cannon inside, that could be pretty insane. It's a great bombard, so it's perfect for destroying walls. I'm surprised we haven't seen like this. Oh, I don't think this wall can go down. But I believe that different sides of the wall can go down. So I'm surprised we haven't seen any of that. I mean, I think this is just a hard part of Constantinople to actually bring down. We are getting artillery coming in, though. I mean, one big artillery hit would be massive, but I think that's going to miss, yeah. And the fight for this wall is going in. More of the Sultanate of Rum men are pushing in. Do they have mercenaries? Because I know you can get a lot of Italian mercenaries. Yeah, some of these names are going to be so hard to really understand. Really like the shield design though. This looks really nice. Like I'm generally really impressed with the updates they've done to this mod. And as I said, like the campaign is not as crazy far away as you may think it is. You know, once we start, and especially once we start getting unique buildings and stuff, oh, it's going to be so amazing. So this left side, we have a lot of infantry and Pavese crossbow, basically just hiding from anything, trying to stay out of vision so they don't get shot at. Some infantry there, and it's just going to be a time until they start pushing in like heavily. I think what they're really trying to do, and this is a really smart strategy when it comes to siege battles, as we have a unit of axemen breaking upon the Nicaean infantry. Yeah, these are the heavy axemen as well. And a really like interesting strategy in sieges, and something I like to employ when I'm doing team sieges, is sending a lot of soldiers into one breach point like this, like what they're doing right here. And once this breach point is kind of broken apart, once you've finally broken through the defenders here, then assaulting everywhere else, because it leaves the defenders in a very interesting situation where they kind of have to retreat back or commit more men over here, which then makes it easy to defend the other positions. So it's kind of like a delayed assault where you're saving in a lot of your men, because if you attack everywhere all at once, yeah, you're going to be stretching the defenders pretty heavily, but you're also going to be taking more casualties. Whereas if you can break through one of the positions whilst you have fresh men waiting in reserves on all the others, and then once that position breaks, throw in your infantry on every single flank, you kind of just set the momentum completely in your favour, and it forces the defenders to have to either plug the gap by taking men away from other positions, or fall back or leave gaps and leave other positions vulnerable to counter assaults. This is a pretty good strategy, in my opinion. So it does look like Nicaea have thrown up some of their elite axemen right here. The Anglo-Var... I think... Is this the heavy Byzantian... Is this like the special axe infantry? I can't remember if it is. It's not the Is that the Varangian Guard? Or is that not the Varangian Guard? I'm not too sure. I don't think it is. I think the Varangian Guard are just called the Varangian Guard, but I'm not actually 100% sure. This breach point as well is completely open. Is this... I mean, I guess they're giving this position up, but it does what you... Like, over here on the left-hand side, like, this is exactly one of the reasons you don't want to give up the walls so easily. Because you can get these soldiers stuck up here, and they can basically just shoot down. And oh my god, look at this! Some of the Sultan of Rum cavalry have somehow managed to get their horses in here. They're going to charge right into the rear of these macemen of the Byzantians. With the support of this archer fire, that is great, because now they can also shoot down onto this cavalry. And if you guys don't know, if you don't really watch much 12-12, or you haven't really played it in a little while, heavy cavalry is amazing in this mod, much like it was in the period, you know. Heavy cavalry can not only fight infantry for a decent amount of time, unless it's like a really good like armor-piercing infantry. Heavy cavalry is just king of the battlefield. It's super expensive, but it does dominate the battlefield, and for good reason. You know, it was very, very hard to take on a battalion of the heavily armored knights. You know, they'd smash into you, send you to the ground, they'd have armor everywhere, so it'd be so hard to pierce them. You're having to strike upwards at the horse and at the rider, you know, and the heavy knights in this mod do show that. They're very, very good to the period. So not only are they very hard to kill, but they also output a ton of damage. So really, you have to be so careful with your cavalry. You don't want to overcommit it to a situation that could just be very, very bad. And here we go, a nice little breach right there, which is going to aid them pretty heavily. And I think the Sultanate of Rum have broken through already on this left-hand side with the support of these archers up here. I think we're going to be seeing the end of this little defense. Over on the other side, by the way, it seems like they're faring a little bit better, actually sending back some of the heavier axemen from the Sultanate of Rum, even though the crossbow bolts are still going overhead, trying to pick away at the missiles. And again, that's another interesting thing about going for the missiles as well, because the more, like, every missile soldier you take out from the unit means that they're firing one less crossbow bolt every single volley, so it's a really good strategy to try and take them out. And it looks like, who is this? Is this Nicaea? Yeah, Nicaea are really pushing on the pressure now, really trying to just prevent the Sultanate of Rum from really doing much. The artillery still going in as well, burning the city, which is something very interesting you can do. Obviously, in artillery, is you can burn the city, and it will lower the enemy's defense. Yeah, more cavalry. They must have rushed in through this gap right here. And the other Sultanate of Rum cavalry, they're going to be met by the cavalry of Venice, though, the Venetian cavalry. Oh, no, this is Nicaea still. Yeah, this is Nicaea still. They just got to... Maybe they're they're supported by the Venetian cavalry. So I think this is going to be able to repel the Rummian cavalry as more and more of them do come flying in. But it's going to be a hard fight, you know. Either way, cavalry does not go down quickly, like I mentioned earlier. And it might not be even a good... It might not even be a bad idea to focus this, like, group of cavalry down, either with your own missiles. Because if you can take out horsemen, then you're going to be in a real good situation. Look at these heavily armored knights as well. Kind of like Gothic armor, or at least Gothic helmets, with a nice little plume holder back there as well. Oh, I dig that. Sorry, I'm going to pause that. As a man who is very, very injured. Oh, no, maybe it's not a plume holder. Maybe it's just there to protect. I swear I saw a plume holder, though. I was going to say, as a man who is a fan of armor of this period, yeah, I could have sworn I saw a plume holder, but it doesn't look like it. Maybe, no, it looks like it's just something back there to... From the side, it kind of looks like a plume holder. I don't actually know, maybe that's like, if they were to like get hit around the back, it just kind of gives their neck a bit more protection. Alright, it's probably to stop them, if they get hit off their horse from like smashing their neck. Like, it stops your head from jolting around, probably, because it stabilizes it on the back of your armor. That would make sense. The artillery still just trying to set fire to the city. And this is a good strategy. Even if you can just bring down their melee attack by 1 or 2, it does definitely add up over time. They've also brought up their artillery as well. They've got infantry here to prevent anything. Like, now would not be a bad situation for the Venetian crossbows to get on the walls here and just shoot down. Because I think they can traverse through this. I don't know if they can. But would not be a bad plan. Over on the right-hand side, we can see that this Sultanate of Rum army has really made inroads into the city. They are starting to be a bit repelled, though, by the heavy cavalry coming in here by the Bulgarians, with these huge lances smashing away on the enemy. And they are also fighting more of the Sultanate of Rum's horsemen. But the cavalry is holding, and that's going to obviously aid them and repel another infantry assault right there. However, we are having more and more archer volleys coming off from the walls. And one of the really interesting things, again, of 1212 is that archers, if you buy expensive archers, it generally doesn't make them better at being a better archer. It gives them more armor, it gives them better melee equipment, and basically just means that they're more well-drilled troops. And not only can they be that archer force, it also allows them to get themselves stuck into melee and hold their own in many situations. So, you know, having these expensive archers, I think like the Gillen Foot archers, is that what these guys are? I don't know, I know there's a Sultanate of Rum unit. I mean, this one looks pretty heavily armored. But, you know, for example, this unit can do pretty decent in melee combat. They're also, you know, proficient bowmen as well. So that's kind of what you spend your extra money on in 1212, which I really like about that, you know. Your archers just aren't always going to lose to cavalry. Yes, they're going to lose to cavalry eventually, but you can throw them into melee, and they're going to do okay, you know. They're going to hold their own. I mean, they just received a pretty heavy cavalry charge, but you can see they're still, you know, they're still happy. They're still eager to fight. And they'll kill a few of these horses if they try and pull out, because pulling out in 1212 is also pretty brutal. You know, there was no contraception back here at this period, so more cavalry being brought into the fight. I'm surprised the Bulgarians aren't looking to close off this position, but I guess they just don't want to overcommit their men, and they're just going to use their cavalry to make the breaches really occur. And as you can see, look, we're coming back to this cavalry engagement, and the cavalry are still fighting, which is just crazy. We are having some of the defenders spearmen, though, I think from Nicaea? Yeah, the Nicaean spearmen are going to be trying their best to fight. They are coming up against some of these Italian mercenaries that have been levied from the Sultanate of Rum, or for the Sultanate of Rum. You can see this halberd. Halberds are very strong from the front as well. They'll, like, annihilate a lot of infantry from the front. We are finding it a little bit hard to kill these defenders, though, because the spear is such a longer range. Oh, there was also a really cool unit I wanted to show you guys. I'm not sure where it's gone now, because it looks like, yeah, this left flank has been completely given up now, which is going to be great for them. There's also some gunners right here. Oh, this is so cool, the Sultanate of Rum gunners. Look at them, they're awesome. That's amazing. And obviously in the campaign, you'll get more and more of them. Where else the unit? Oh, yeah, this unit right here of Venice. Look how cool this unit is. It's like a pike per these unit. I imagine their pikes going like this little gap right here to rest, because I imagine it'd be extremely hard to hold a shield that big and also hold like a 10-foot pole. This is a really cool unit. Anyway, back to the main fighting. We have more infantry being broken upon, and the Sultanate of Rum are going to be going for another assault now, throwing up more heavy axes to try and just break this breach point. Because the thing is, once the attackers can get their men inside the city, it's going to be so valuable, because they can use their archers, they can use their infantry just to outmaneuver the defenders. But right now, they're kind of in a vulnerable spot up here. It's giving the archers like perfect vision. The cavalry can come in as well. Obviously, charging through your own men is not going to be very effective. But this is like the perfect shock unit right here of just heavy axemen. Oh, and a beautiful charge. The Sultanate of Rum have done great jobs of maneuvering their cavalry inside the city. Rear charge. Look at that damage. Oh my god. That rear charge was just insane. That killed like 40 dudes. And one of the main reasons it killed as many as it did is because they were in shield wall, so they were really clumped up, but they were facing the other direction, so they didn't get any benefits from that shield wall. And breaking up the formation is also a really important thing in 1212, because, you know, if the shield wall is broken, it doesn't really, like, the units can't work as well together. And the Sultanate of Rum are pushing through here. They're breaking the enemy and making ground in every single way. Yeah, as you can see as well over here, they've pushed forward as well, looking to defend and push back. We do have some awesome Nicaean spearmen here in shield wall, but again, they're probably going to have to fall back. No, they're going to charge in, actually. Try and get in a better formation. Try and break through against the Sultans of Rum. Yeah, I really am a fan of this unit. I love their like wooden-esque kite shields. They look really nice. The fighting is heavy. And if we take a look at the numbers to see who's lost the most. So the battle started off with 8,000 attackers and 8,400 defenders. Do keep in mind, though, that the defenders obviously would have spent, like, I think it's 25% less money. So they obviously were at a pretty big disadvantage, which helps balance out the siege. So even if they do have a lot of men, the quality of the men are going to be nowhere near the quality of the Sultanate of Rum. And numbers-wise, it stayed very even, which the defenders obviously do not want to have happen. The defenders need the bands of power. You know, they need the attackers to be losing a lot of men. And I think the distance is... Oh, that guy just got thrown over! I think the distance has spread to around about, what, 500? Around about 500 men, so it's kind of, you know, a 100-man difference, but, you know, it needs to be more than that from the start. More cavalry coming in, a beautiful cavalry charge there on some light unformed up infantry. And again, let's just take a look at the numbers drop. Cavalry charge is so brutal and I love it. I love everything about the cavalry charges. It just makes knights feel so impactful and heavy cavalry actually feel like heavy cavalry. So we're actually seeing these crossbows being thrown into battle. And normally I would be like, yeah, this is a good idea. However, against these heavy axemen, I don't think they're going to stand a chance. They're going to be getting cut to pieces as they try and push forward. Heavy fighting for the walls. And it's pretty crazy how they haven't broken through now. We are, however, seeing the entirety of this army of Sultanate of Rum pushing forward. They've got all their archers up here, just finishing off the last unit right there. And then, yeah, as you can see, if we take a look at the overall battle map, we can see that the walls have been lost. There is nothing to save them anymore. The brave men who are still out there fighting, I think there's one unit, one brave unit of infantry right there. Yeah, this one right here, which is completely surrounded. You brave men, just surrender. Maybe they'll give mercy on you. Probably not. They'll burn the city to the ground. Oh, the Axemen are going to come in and finish them off as well. I mean, I guess it's very hard to tell these guys to fall back when they're this far forward. But as we can see, the outer wall has been completely taken now, and they're going to be pushing in to the actual streets of the cities. And there's several paths they can take. They can move along here, they can move down this street, and also this one. As they get further in, more roads approach, as I think there's 4 openings into the final stand. Very, very brutal, though. And the battle is looking good for the Sultanate of Rum. I feel like they've done an adequate job of taking the walls. And now it's just a simple break forward, reform up your battle lines, and continue to fight on. I think the defenders are definitely not out in, at all. They can easily still defend this settlement. They just need to, calm things down, reform, and prepare the secondary line of defense. Yeah, like even the Bulgarian units, their shields just look really, really nice. Like it looks like they've gone ahead and updated a large amount of units in the roster. I don't think it makes sense, right, as they're getting closer and closer to the release of the campaign. We want to go back and just, touch up a few of the other units. Really, really nice work, though. Hats off to the modding team, as always. The amount of work they put in. Really, really good stuff. And that's also one of the things I'm really looking forward to as well, is when they add in new houses and barracks and city layouts, we can have normal Attila siege maps, but they'll feel much more medieval, which is really awesome. And hopefully we'll get to see a trebuchet or two. Are trebuchets in this mod yet? I hope so. I mean, I guess they would have been probably later in this period, because how the campaign's going to work, I think we're in a lull, right? Yeah, as a lot of the units are moving in. How a lot of the battles, or how the campaign's going to work with technology, and if you hover over here, you have 15th century units and 13th century units. Is these units obviously going to be tied to tech, so you're not going to be able to unlock your 15th century units at the beginning of the game. I think the game is one year per turn to obviously hopefully get through the 200 or 300 years of history that the mod covers. So you won't be able to get gunners or anything right away in the beginning, and it'll kind of go through, I guess, ages almost, where you have like the early, 1300s, 13th century, I should say, where you start off and then you go to the 1400s and then 1500s, and that'll kind of be your progression. If you played EU4, I think maybe think of it like the ages in that, Fighting's pretty brutal though. This Bulgarian spear unit has done a great job. I'm surprised we haven't seen any of this cavalry. I guess it's getting bombarded by, a mortar back here? Yeah, we do have a mortar volleying out. I think this mortar's been shooting since the beginning of the game. It's pretty amazing when you still have ammunition left. But this is going to be really fun as well, to go back to my point I was just mentioning. It's going to be really cool, like, starting off with, like, swords and shields and stuff and heavy knights, and then seeing them progressively get better. But then also, towards the end of your campaign, unlocking the ability to get gunpowder and, rifles and, well, maybe not quite muskets, but like getting your flintlocks and your cannons, and that start to come into the campaign. Well, that's just quite cool, That's the feeling you kind of got in Medieval 2. It'd be really cool as well if they found a way to add in, like, guilds as well. That was always a great feature. And I mean, ideally, my biggest wish list for the 12-12 campaign, which obviously isn't going to be in right away, but would be a population mechanic. If they ever added in a 12-12 population mechanic, it'd just be the best game in the world. That's the reason why DEI, for me, is as great as it is because of population. Population just adds so much tactical thinking to the campaign. It makes you have to plan your expansion. It has to, make you think about, oh, I might need mercenaries here because I don't have any population to replenish. It makes you have to think about, oh, I've just taken these frontier cities. I can't recruit my own units there. I need to, maybe levy some from the state. And, I imagine that's something they probably will look to do at some point. And if it ever did get added into the campaign, just population, I can't believe they took it out of Total War. It's such a fundamental thing. But anyway, enough of me. I feel like I've kind of neglected this battle, and this has just been about how excited I am for the 12-12 campaign. But back to the battle, we can see that the Sultanate of Rum are now pushing up their assault forces. They've finally broken forward on this right-hand side. You can even see a very faint, but a line of bloody bodies right there. And now we're just breaking in with everything else they've got. They've got a nice line of heavy infantry back there. And they're basically just going to be trying to whittle down the defenders as much as they can. You can see the number is this is starting to become a little bit more bloody. And I think it's down to, like, these cannons. What the hell are these? Oh, yeah, we actually do have some culverines. Culverines loading up. With that, they're shooting cannonballs, not bolts. But yeah, this is kind of, I guess, a brutal position for them. Because, a lot of these lines are going to be aiding them pretty heavily. With line of sights and choke points. The archer fire, though, now that there's not a lot that obscures vision, it's going to be a lot easier for them to break through. Look at that guy's shield as well. Oh, my God. That shield is very, very paying for itself right now, even though he's taken several arrows into the gauntlet. And now they finally form their defensive formation. Let's jump on board with these axemen as they charge the ranks. Let's take Constantinople, boys. The loot will be yours. Here we go, charging in, breaking upon the shield wall. Another counter charge right there. I mean, these axemen are perfect for trying to take out, defensive formations. Is what they're meant for. That's what they're designed for, is that shock infantry. As we're having more infantry brought into the fight. And I like how the Sultanate of Rum they're attacking, but they're also weakening the defenders with these archer volleys, with their missiles. They did also have that cannon somewhere, that great bombard. I don't know if it would be in range, but they could definitely bring it up. And they could just hammer away at the defenders, though. And they've also got some catapults inside the city as well, with some good ammunition. Again, this is here to soften up the defenders. And there's not really much the defenders can do about it. They've got all their missiles here. What was that shooting? Oh, more artillery coming in. Oh, some big hits there on the Venetian Pavis. And these guys have all their ammunition, so every kill on these guys is important. Yeah, a lot of these Pavis. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we saw these guys completely retreated back as the axemen are tearing through the spearmen here. We're starting to see some of the weaker quality of units, I think, from the Bulgarians. Like, these guys right here probably aren't the best. They do look quite heavily, like, the knights right here are probably pretty good, but they've also got their backs turned as well, which is going to just kind of be a bad thing for missiles. Over on this right-hand side, we are seeing this unit of Ottoman Billmen. Are these Billmen? Yeah, Billmen going up against Venetian Billmen, but the Venetians are using their missiles very, very nicely just to slaughter these lightly armored Sultan of Rum men. And they're going to be running from the battlefield. Some cavalry is coming over to help out, but that kind of crossbow volley was just far too strong. They're not happy. They're shouting to their men, back in formation, cowards. Even some gunners up here as well. Yeah, I want to see what they end up doing. As the artillery, the fight for the city is brutal, especially now that the walls have gone down. Oh, that's huge hits right there on the Bulgarian mace line. Because they're in shield wall, these like one direct hit just rips through, and look how like undense this battle line is. It's only like two ranks deep compared to like the center, which has 4. 1 or 2 more hits is just going to leave this side extremely vulnerable. Well, that artillery is just missing right there. Nice moves right there. We also do have an artillery, you know, a spearman unit back here as well. And the crossbows, I think, are just waiting for their time. Yeah, someone needs to adjust this artillery. It's burning the walls a bit too much. Making our way back over to the fight. Yeah, there's no real Ottomans coming in. We do somehow have this unit of heavy infantry there. This would be the perfect place to throw in cavalry, right? Yeah, if there's, I think there's much cavalry left for the Sultanate of Rumbo. This would be perfect. If you could throw your cavalry round here, there's nothing blocking here. You could smash into these crossbows who are point blank taking down this brave unit of axemen. Let's just jump on board with the axemen. Oh, that's brutal. I mean, some cavalry coming as well, I think. Yeah, they're going to run away, try and get the hell out of here, as the cavalry's going to probably take over. But yeah, this would be perfect for cavalry to come in right now, because they could completely overwhelm. Oh, a cavalry charge, man! Just killing everyone. It's jumping in between all the models because everyone's dying. But as I was saying, like, this would be a perfect position to throw up your cavalry. Because if you could break your cavalry in, oh, another little charge right here. Trying to smash through the Ottoman axes and doing exactly that. Good charges here by the defenders, pushing the attackers back. But like as I'm saying, like moving your cavalry through this position would be perfect, because you could open up and surround like what 3 or 4 units of these Bulgarian men. And you'd obviously have to engage, which is a good, you know, what they need to kind of do. They need to throw up their men. Engage the front line. And look at them gaps from the artillery. And there's just not enough men like to keep them gaps filled. So if I was the Sultan of Rome, I'd be definitely trying to look to assault that. The mortar is still coming out though. Oh, some pretty big explosions right there. Archer volleys as well. Camera is shaking all over the place as more men come charging in. The axemen are going to be the assaulting forces. Artillery comes in as well, trying to take down as many of these macemen. And as I said multiple times, this axeman unit is great. Heavy shock infantry is designed to break up these defensive formations, with some sword infantry coming in as well to support them. You can see they're doing exactly that right now. Oh, their heads just rolling off on the battlefield. Brutal. Archer fire coming. All the archers trying to focus down the crossbowmen. It's going to be hard to kill them though, obviously, for these pretty goddamn big shields. But yeah, the axemen are just proving their worth and how valuable they are. I mean, they honestly need to be focused down by the crossbows. So it does look like this is a smart move by the Bulgarians to protect this flank as they do push on elsewhere. I mean, the attackers are starting to run out of men. Not really, though. Ban's power is still really even. Both sides have lost about half of their men, with the attackers just having a little bit over half of their men. But, I mean, that's when the quality, you know, the quality is going to really start to show at some point. You're going to see a lot more of these weaker units. I imagine as we go further back. Oh, these guys look pretty nice, though. Heavy, like, Pavis. These are kind of like basic Pavis. They are late period, though, so they are really good. Like, yeah, I imagine, you know, some of their infantry just isn't going to be as good as it could be. Especially probably on the Bulgarian side. And I mean, if they can break through here as well, oh, they could just come up and start assaulting this, bring more men back. Because it looks like Venice have a great hold over this position right here. It's going to be very hard for the Sultanate of Rum to really break this. And I think their best bet is just to do exactly what they're doing. Send men over here and try and clear this out. Oh my god, with fire and stone. Yeah, the Axemen have done their job breaking through these guys, and they need to almost just immediately assault the next barrier, right? Charge forward, get onto their spearmen, which is exactly what they're going to be doing. And breaking onto the next line of assault. Because the quicker these guys get in, it's harder for the crossbows to kill them. I think the crossbows are going to have to retreat back. Just keep on advancing. I love how the swordsman as well, just moving up in shield wall. It's very, very cool. Something else that would be really, really awesome to do in 1212 in the campaign would be to be able to form empires. And I'm sure they'll have a few empire forming mechanics, and maybe if it didn't, even if it didn't like fit the appropriate time, it'd be kind of cool if you could form like new kingdoms if you were, you know, even if they were, you know, a couple hundred years early or something. If you were really like quick, it'd be kind of cool if you could form like certain empires, or even reform certain empires. You know, like. If you were, for example, you know, I don't know, somewhere in Italy or something, you could maybe try and reform the Roman Empire. And take that name and take their flag. That'd be pretty cool. So more, I think this is fresh infantry being brought up. Yeah, fresh infantry, or not kind of fresh infantry, but very little bit better. They're going to be thrown into the fight as well. We're having more of these axemen being sent into the fight as well. They really are struggling to break forward on these frontal points. We have, what, a unit of axemen just waiting to come in. These guys look extremely scary. I mean, look at that. That's not something you really want to try and fight. Not something you want to fight at all. Look how cool as well the burnt down building looks. It's pretty nice with all the banners still intact. Yeah, there's just so many crossbows left remaining for the defenders. It's going to be hard to kind of do that killing blow. But they are starting to bring more men down from this reserve line. The mortars are still causing a nuisance back here. And there's still a lot of missiles left as well. So it's not like the Sultanate of Rum doesn't have anything to break these defensive positions. We are just seeing them, though, throwing everything forward. Anything that can be thrown into the fight will be. I mean, out of interest, how many men do the Sultanate of Rum have left in reserve? What, 4 units of these axemen, or are these? Yeah, these are all axemen. We've got some cavalry back there. Got a lot of axemen back here, and then just some gunners. These handgunners. This handgunner unit would be perfect. I'm not sure what their range is, though, on these guys. So, their range, does it say their range? Don't think it does. Missile block chance. No, it doesn't say their range. That's kind of a bit annoying. Probably pretty important for an archer unit. Does it say on normal archer units? I think it does, right? Though it doesn't even say on these. Wow, that's kind of brutal. I was going to say, if they had better range on their guns, it'd be perfect to try and break this unit. But obviously, they don't want to get shot by these crossbows. That's probably one of the reasons they are standing back. More of the infantry being thrown in. It does look like the, I keep on wanting to call them Ottomans. The Sultanate of Rum are slowly breaking through this defensive wall from Venice. And I believe once this position is broken forward, I'm pretty sure they can go down this route and outflank the city centre right there as well. So it's just simply breaking through these initial positions, and then being able to, just use their numbers to their advantage and just attack multiple directions, really stretch the defenders. Venice and Nicaea, though, over on his left-hand side, do not want to give up this fight easily in there. They're going to be committing some good men here. We've got some high-quality soldiers. They are running out of men, though. You got some foot soldiers right there. The artillery has a direct hit as well. Wow, it didn't really do much damage, though. But, I mean, it didn't look like it did any damage there. I think it hit the building almost, burning more of the church. So the city is a little bit devastated. We are getting a little bit less morale, melee attack, and defense. This adds up, right? You know, if there's only, what, 36 melee attack, reducing it by just 1 helps your units out, especially the morale as well. I mean, I know the morale is really high, but the more of the city burns, you know, all of these quadrants are going to catch fire and spread. So this definitely does help out. And here we go. The final little last line of Bulgarians are now being killed over in the streets. And that's going to allow a complete rush forward. And out of interest, are these guys going to be stuck? Yeah, this entire quadrant needs to get the hell out of here. Because they could be completely closed off right now, and I think they've noticed that, and that's why the Bulgarians are throwing forward more of their spearmen to defend this passageway, which is a very, very smart move right here. Also, maybe even committing some cavalry here to buy them a bit more time. Don't think they really need to commit this cavalry now, but basically just kind of like a shock unit. Yeah, look, oh, that's still heavy cavalry, man. It's so good. How many kills did that get? I want to have a look. Because they were braced. Still killed like 30 dudes. I mean, they are extremely good. They are going to be taking a lot of damage. All the missile fire is going to focus them down right now. I'm pretty sure you couldn't do that against a unit that was fully fresh. It was just mainly because the unit was weakened. And they did their job. They are going to take casualties now as they try and pull out. Just due to the archer fire in their back. That's basically getting them killed now. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Venetian cavalry is going to go down. They're going to come in for another charge, though. These guys quickly reform! Reform! Ooh! A lot more of them dying as well. The archers, though, seemingly going to be doing okay, though. Just getting off the last couple of volleys. I mean, the archers are basically out of ammunition over here. But it's going to, again, buy them enough time to bring down more of these Italian mercenaries back behind the defensive lines. But more cavalry is going to come in as well to scare them off some more of these horse archer lancers. And they still have not broken through. I think they're going to break through this position right now. Like, I feel like it's just extremely hard for the attackers to get through this defensive line of, like, halberds and Italian mercenaries. They just seem really, really strong. Really, really strong. And this is what they kind of need to use their archers on, or their artillery. Because I feel like if they can, and when they do break through this position, it's going to open up the battlefield and the city a lot more. And they are starting to commit like their last reserve units now into this fight. A lot more of these heavily elite infantry are coming in. They're finding gaps. This is a really nice move here by the attackers, setting through the gaps. There's just not enough defenders here. They are going to be engaged on by some of these mercenary Gnosius crossbowmen. But the men from, I assume they're from Genoa, they're not going to stand any chance whatsoever. And yeah, the gaps are opening up, which is just allowing them to commit the rest of their infantry. If cavalry can get in here as well, they could just cause a absolute riot here. Yeah, this unit of axemen have just been repelled. This spear infantry looks fucking amazing. It looks really, really strong. Look at that one man as well. He's like, why? Why have you forsaken me? He just crawls and then goes down. Collapses. Brutal stuff right there. And the cavalry is coming in as well, but they're going to be charging in onto the Italian mercenaries. And the Italian mercenaries weren't formed up, and that's going to kill a lot of them. Let's look at their numbers. I want to see how many of them die. A lot of them die. They weren't formed up or braced. A lot of them do actually still survive, but like cavalry basically took no damage there and killed half the unit because they just were not formed up. They're going to be engaging against the Doge's bodyguard, the bodyguard of Venice, along with more spear infantry. And I think it's going to signal their retreat, but they kind of paid for themselves there. But the Doge is not going to give up lightly. He's going to continue to pursue them. Over on this other side as well, we have more axemen charging in. Crossbow still fighting. They're capturing these positions. It's always good to take these like side flag points because it gives you a morale buff and decreases the enemy morale buff. I think this is going to be it. This is going to be the final push right now. If this does not succeed, the defenders will claim victory, and it's looking like they're going to hold the city at a pretty heavy casualty cost, but it looks like they're going to commit everything to this fight right now. I think their best bet is to break this, maybe. You know, just commit the rest of your... Do you have any archers? You have some archers and the gunners as well. I mean, the crossbows are so scary, though. That's the thing. It's so hard to use these gunners because I imagine they have kind of short range and they're really poor in accuracy. But if you get them to focus the enemy, they're going to do so much damage with them. But I guess they're just trying to clear the way as much as they can. A few rogue infantrymen have come forward and engaged some of the Sultanate of Rum's infantry. They're just going to run through them, ignore them, charge on to glory onto the Italian mercenaries. They're being charged from both sides. How the hell did that happen? And yeah, their last couple numbers are going to be completely cut down. Oh, that looks kind of cool having the glimmers of the city burns. Yeah, the city has definitely taken some construction damage as well. A lot of these districts have been burnt. I would love to see that more in Total War as well. More like focuses on districts, and you know, maybe if you burn, like if you're in a siege and you burn like the market district, you know, that will then affect you on the campaign map. Maybe that city will make less money for a certain amount of turns until you repair all of that, or cause, you know, make a... And that's one of the things which would be amazing with population as well. Because in a siege battle, if you were to, for example, burn the market district, all the like merchants would be pissed at you, and then you could represent that with the merchant class being extremely unhappy and applying certain debuffs to the battle, like, or to the campaign. I just don't understand why they ever got rid of population. It's literally such a great mechanic. My favourite mechanic for sure. So artillery is still hitting away. Mortars seemingly just have so much ammunition, firing their last shots, but they only got 150 kills somehow. Very, very surprising. The billman right here, the guardsman, going to be trying to repel this Axeman assault from the Sultanate of Rum. Both sides fighting for the city right now. Brutal stuff, especially over here. Like, I just don't feel like they have enough left. And all these archers are like focusing down on like spearmen and stuff back here. But I don't know, I think it's just better to open up this. We even have a cannon set up, the Culverin, waiting for anyone to come down here. It looks finally, though, the Ottomans have the Ottomans, why do I keep on calling them the Ottomans? I've been playing too much EU4 recently. The Sultanate of Rum has finally cleared up this sector with a burning church in the background. And they're going to probably pursue it, right? Yeah, both sides falling back. Crossbows still have a lot of ammunition left. All the artillery is up as well. I feel like the defenders just have this battle on lock. I'd love to see, though, the gunners before the battle's end. The gunners are over here as well. Yeah, I'd love to see these guys do some damage. I imagine the entire crossbows are not focused. Do these guys... they still have ammunition. Like, I imagine their sole focus should be on these gunners right now. Yeah, exactly. Immediately change to these gunners. It's such a shame, because this unit can be so influential. It's just so hard to use it, I guess, in a siege battle. When you get a first proper volley in, I wonder how many of these gunners are going to go down. It's very hard as well for them to get any good shots in, because obviously their friendly infantry is blocking the passageway here. Here we go. The first proper volley. These gunners are going to run for their lives. A couple of them, not as many going down. Only 6 of them going down, which is not too bad. But they're going to obviously have to run away from here. Being a very light infantry unit. Got some archers exchanging. You just couldn't really use these gunners, which is such a shame. As I said, they are such a fun unit. The pikemen trying to get in there, but the armor of the defenders is far too strong. Venetians proving their worth and protecting their trade in this area. Very, very nice work. Another archer volley coming in. Woo, brutal. Yeah, when you've got such heavy defensive, like the Italian infantry is just so defensive. In sieges, it's very hard to take them down. Like, granted, in the open field, much easier. You know, you just use some very, very strong knights. I really hope as well, that's the thing in the campaign as well. I really hope that there's more noticeable differences. Like, I don't want all heavy cavalry to be the same. You know, I really want that, you know, heavy cavalry from certain regions or from certain factions are extremely, like, just outclassed from ones from other regions and stuff. I'm sure that'll come across in, like, technology and the rate at which you get, like, unlocked for heavy cavalry. Just hopefully that's, like, the case, because that'd be really cool. Yeah, the Sultanate of Rum really does not have much left. Only 8 minutes left in the battle. Both sides. We'll speed things up as well whilst they're moving stuff into position. Reinforcing. It just looks like it's completely over. Oh, we're going to see at least see a few of these gunners left. Oh no, they're throwing an infantry again. Not good coordination. Are they going to shoot though? Can they shoot? No, we're just getting picked apart. Oh, they are shooting now. Awesome. They're doing much damage. Or are they shooting the artillery crew? I don't really know what they're shooting, but it does look cool. The animation's a little bit messy, but there's only so much they can do. Obviously, they're like reloading it like a crossbow and shooting extremely quickly. They're doing some pretty good damage, though. Killed 20 men so far. I guess we could look. I don't think they've shot anyone else. Yeah, 25 men already. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you can get this unit in just to focus down enemy stuff, then it's just so valuable. They're dying so quickly, being as lightly armored as they are. The last couple Axeman units thrown into this battle. I think this is going to be all she wrote for the Sultanate assault on the Constantinople, the glorious city of Nicaea. The enemy not giving up any quarter, rallying to the cause. The gunners have come back as well. Yeah, I think this battle is just... I'm gonna triple speed through the last couple things. Unless anything really interesting happens, we'll just triple speed the rest of the battle now, because I think it is basically over. It did stretch the defenders pretty heavily, though. I mean, they still outnumber them. It was just that last... They just couldn't break through this, which I think was their biggest problem. If they could have broken through this, they could have then reinforced and assaulted down every single lane. I think also maybe, you know, like just getting through these crucial points in the city were super important, and just something they couldn't do towards the end of the battle. But I mean, a lot of the remaining men are these crossbows who just don't have any ammunition left. I feel like maybe the defenders needed to have a few less crossbows or a few less missiles, and that would have helped balance it a little bit more given the attackers. But hey, for those people who always complain, say that defenders never win, here you go. And I think it was quite hard for the attackers to win this battle. Honestly, like, unless, I don't know. Yeah, it's very hard. I think the Italians just have such great defensive units that in siege battles, they need to be a bit more capped. But the cavalry, like, there were certain positions where, you know, the attackers maybe could have capitalized on and tries to push them back. But it was just unfortunate they couldn't find it. And as I said, we'll just triple speed through the last of this battle. I really do love this Venetian unit, though. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're going to retreat back. More Italian mercenaries being brought into the fold, looking to throw the infantry back. But it did finally break through this position, surprisingly, and get a really good charge off onto this cavalry unit, onto this crossbow unit. Again, it's just too little too late, unfortunately. You know, if they could have just broken through one of these paths, I think it would have been enough. I honestly think it would have been enough. But now the crossbows are just finishing off whatever, like, loose infantry that lays around the battlefield. But cool, let's just jump ahead towards the end of the battle, and then we'll take a stock of what got the most kills. And there we have it, the Pyrrhic victory there by Venice, you know, clearing up the battlefield and pushing the enemy back. The city holds, I mean, that says it all, right? Look at the kills on the crossbows. I feel like 5 crossbows for the defenders is just far too many. Obviously, the attackers could bring their own missiles. I feel like there needed to be a cap, though, to aid them off a little bit. But anyway, taking a look at the kills, we can see the crossbows for Venice, you know, kind of what they're known for. And this knight unit getting 400 kills. The infantry just being more of like a staple. That's kind of what they spent their money on, were these crossbows and also the heavy knights. And the infantry was kind of just supposed to be there and hold. Bulgaria, again, their crossbows doing great, and some of their knights doing amazing as well. And then finally for Nicaea, we have their Italian mercenaries coming in pretty big. Their crossbows not doing as good. But yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest problem right there. Then we take a look at the Sultanate of Rum. We can see that their axe infantry doing amazing. 259 kills on that one. Very, very good for infantry. Continuing to take a look. This army just kind of... I mean, again, it's just axemen, which was its real strong point, and then some of the archers. And this infantry unit just getting 300 kills. Pretty nice, pretty nice. And the cavalry as well. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like and a comment. Let me know if you want to see more 12-12 on the channel. If you want to be a part of these battles, then go ahead and join my Discord. The link will be down below in the description. Just ask for the guys who plays Battle Tag, so you get notified whenever these battles go live. Let me know what you want to see next on the channel, and fish out.